welcome back. I'm Nicole, the Cottage Witch, and this is my week in books and art. No tarot this week because it was a bit of a week and I got sidetracked by many other things. So first, these are sort of, they're not really gothic, but they're adjacent, let's say. Eva Bjorg, Aegis books. She's one of my new favorite Nordic noir authors. This Boys Who Hurt is the latest one. I think it was published in English just last year. And this one was actually a prequel, which I didn't realize. It was a bit harder to get into because it's about a really, like, stupidly rich family. And I just don't tend to find those stories interesting. Like, once you started to get to know them and their issues, then it became more interesting. But at the outset, it was just a bit like, oh, okay, sure. Not really my particular cup of tea, but I do like her writing a lot. And then I listened to a few audiobooks. So I listened to The Sirens by Amelia Hart. I'd listened to Wayward before that, which I liked better, I think. I really liked the idea of the sirens. But the first, like, 2/3 was really slow. It was a bit hard to get into. The ending was pretty good. I liked that. And yeah, I really, like, I liked the concept more than the execution, I guess. The Reformatory by Tananarive Du. I should have looked up how to say her name. Anyway, it's based on sort of like the residential schools that we have in Canada. They had similar schools, like reform type juvenile prison system type schools in the States. And there was one where her uncle died, and apparently a lot of kids died, as they did at residential schools. And so this is where she got, I guess, the idea for this story. So I did learn some of the history. A couple of the characters are based on real life people. One being her dad, who was a civil rights lawyer, I think. And then one being, sorry, there's a magpie in my window. Love a magpie. There was another woman who worked for the NAACP, I think, for civil rights. And then the magpie's making a bit of a racket. So, and there's construction nearby. So there might be a bit of a soundtrack to this video that I did not intend, but can't do anything about that. Anyway, this book was really powerful and really well written. I found it actually a bit gothic. I didn't know if it was going to be just like straight up horror. And it's funny because, like, the gothic elements of the house, well, the school, and the ghosts and everything, those are not the most horrifying parts. Sorry, I keep getting distracted by a really cute bird. The most horrifying parts are absolutely the things that historically happened. The way the people at these schools, like one guy in particular, was just sadistic. And the way he treated these kids. Like, the kid who went there was 10 or 12, somewhere in there. Like, he was a kid. They were young. Like, I think they had some teenagers there too, but I mean, they're still kids. And some of them are just really little, and the things they did to these kids, just unbelievable. I mean, they are believable because they happened, and they happened to Indigenous kids in residential schools here too. But the brutality of it, that was the most horror-ish part of it to me. Not the sort of supernatural elements. That was like, oh, okay, cool. It was, what can I say without giving away things? I'm not sure I really can. It was really good. I enjoyed it. I'll read more of her books, I think. Even though I don't read a lot of straight up horror. But this wasn't horror, like blood spattering all over the place horror, except when one boy was whipped, but that actually happened to a lot of Black people. So it wasn't like a supernatural horror element, it was a human depravity horror element. Anyway, it was very good. I'm not sure I'm really selling the book, but it was a very powerful story. And then I listened to The Rules of Magic by Alice Hoffman. So this was the third one in the Owen's sister's practical magic sort of series. It was one of the prequels about the two aunts in practical magic when they were growing up. And it was mostly pretty good. It was, I don't know, I like her writing. It's fun. The characters were fun. The story was fun. It wasn't, you know, the most, oh, there's hammering. That's amazing. Just as soon as I hit record, all the construction starts up in earnest. Yeah, I don't know, like it wasn't a book that I read and thought that was the most amazing thing I've ever read, but it's just good fun. I really like that series. And then I read a children's book, a picture book called A Perfectly Messed Up Story by Patrick McDonnell. And he illustrated this book, and I'll show you a couple of the pictures because it's super cute. It would make a very good read aloud. So it starts off with Louis. He's the little narrator. He's very cute. He's telling a story. Somebody has the nerve to spill their jam on his plate, or on his book, and then peanut butter, and then a few other things. At one point, where's the coloring? Somebody colors in his book. See, there's like somebody crayon. He made a mess of crayons, and he's got opinions about people destroying his book, and there's a coffee stain on it in the end, and it's just, and here's the back. It's very cute. So that was fun. And then I got a couple from the library. This is Amy Sillman, One Lumber 2. She's an illustrator and abstract painter. Sort of abstract expressionist, but more contemporary. I don't remember where I heard of her. I think that probably was in another book, or maybe one of the art prof classes. I can't remember. Anyway, I've been doing that a lot lately, where I'll get a book of a bunch of different artists, and then one of them will, or more than one, will jump out at me, and I'll look up that particular artist and see what other kind of stuff they do. This is called The Plumbing. I don't know how she gets these ideas of like just ordinary things, but I don't know, really interesting lines and textures. And this is Psychology Today. Yeah, so I really enjoyed that. And then I got a book called 3 Berlin Artists of the Weimar Era. So this was just before and leading into the Second World War. So it's Hannah Hoch, who I've talked about before. She's a Dada artist, and a collage artist and assemblage and stuff. She was one of the first collage artists. Jean Mammon, who she wasn't my favorite. Not because she's bad or anything, it's just personal preference. And then Kathy Kollwitz, who I talked about last week as well, but I really like her line work a lot. And some of these are lithograph prints, which I don't really know much about making. This is charcoal. This one, oops. Try and get it without the glare. Oh, and now the book thingy is coming out. Okay, good. Lovely. But yeah, I really like Kathy Kollwitz. She's just very expressive and makes beautiful portraits. So yeah, that one. And then the last one was Grace Hartigan, A Painter's World. She is one of the better known original abstract expressionists, amongst women anyway. Tends to get left off the list of artists if it's, you know, just focused on de Kooning, the husband, and Pollock and those folks. But I really like her work. This is New England, October. I get a hair in my eye or something. That's very exciting. Is this Sweden? She's got one from Dublin, Sweden, so I don't know. I only read parts of this book where a painting sort of caught my interest, and then there was something beside it that was about that painting in particular. Then I read it, but I didn't read it cover to cover. I was looking at the pictures. Oh, here's Marilyn. Anything else interesting? All right. Here's the forest. I like this one too. This is a different sort of later style of hers. Yeah, so I think this is just about it for the book. Excuse me. For the books for today, this is Spanish Fender. So I have to take them back to the library now. And I'm going to run back to the art store because I got some, I had some toys yesterday. So I got a little graphite stick, which is super fun and a little bit messy. I'd gotten these Holbein oil pastels before and didn't realize, because it doesn't really, they're not labeled very well. Holbein, get it together. These are the student grade ones, and they're not my favorite. They're good for like outdoor stuff because they're not very mushy, but I don't really like them for anything else. But they have these in cases, and I didn't realize these were, I don't know if the art store that I previously went to had them or not, because they're packaged identically to their soft pastels, which I don't like. I mean, I don't like anybody's soft pastels. It's nothing against them personally. This is just not the thing for me. But these are much softer than these ones. These are the, on the receipt it said these were the artist grade ones. But yeah, they need better labeling so it's clear what's going on. So anyway, I like the texture of these. I did a bit of playing around with them yesterday, so I'm gonna go back to the art shop while it's open this afternoon and get a couple more colors. So I'll be back. Okay, I'm back from the art store. That was very exciting. I may have gotten more things than I strictly needed, but the world's on fire, so I needed it. I got some more of these little oil pastels in the plastic containers and just did a little mucking about. So these are the colors I got. It does have these two greens are acrylic painted underneath, and then I just did a bunch of sort of swatching on top, so that was fun. And then I may have also gotten, because it was on sale. Okay, so I've never used gouache before, and ordinarily I would not get these. I wouldn't have gotten these pricey gouache, the set, if it wasn't on sale for 50% off. It was in the sort of bargain, like overstock bin, because this is Daniel Smith, and he's very expensive. That made in Washington, I think, like Washington State, not DC. But so I got a set of the primaries, which I'm having coordination difficulties, but that's not new, and had a white in there, and so it ended up being about $10 each, which is stupidly cheap for these. It may not seem cheap for this size, but this size will last a long time, and it's apparently some of the best quality gouache that you can get. So ordinarily, like the Holbein one, they had open stock, which I'm assuming is quite good quality. I have no reason to think it isn't. I've just never used gouache before. And it is one of those things where I've heard if you get like the cheap sort of off-brand student versions on Amazon or whatever, it's just a really unsatisfying experience, and it puts people off using gouache because it's so difficult to use. So I knew I was going to get, if I was going to try gouache, I was going to try an artist grade one, but I thought maybe Holbein or something because it's more reasonably priced. Like it's $10 to $15 per tube, not on sale. Whereas this pack was originally like almost $80, not on sale, which ordinarily I would not pay $20 per tube. That's like for white and basic colors. That's a lot, but it was on sale. So I thought I can't not try it for that price. And then I have cold pressed watercolor paper that I've used before, but I've never tried the hot press. So they had these cute tiny little Stonehenge notebooks, and so I got one of these just because I don't know if I'll like it. I think I like the texture more. I just feel like a more texture paper person generally. And then this is, I took the label thing off. What's it called? It's a Speedball product, but it's called Handbook Journal. That's what it's called. And these are very popular, and they were on sale too. So I thought if I'm gonna get gouache, I'm gonna get a little notebook and it's very thick, 300 GSM watercolor paper. And I got the landscape one because it sounds exciting. So that's how I'll spend my afternoon, probably. And then the other things I did this week were, ooh, make a mess. So I have this newsprint pad, and I just did a bunch of these, like, they're called gesture drawings, because I'm working on those at the moment. And yeah, so I did a bunch of 2-minute timed drawings in different, this was with, I think, the Graphitint, which the block was a bit too big for this size paper. I couldn't, I mean, the point of gesture drawings is not necessarily to get detail, but so it was fun to use, but also a bit difficult. And then for Orla Stevens' Patreon, she's got a sketchbook challenge at the moment. And so these were some of the landscapes I did for that, just focusing on shapes. This was with the Graphitint as well. I was like, I got it out, and it's too big for, I can't remember if I showed this last time. Maybe I did, I don't know. I've lost all track of time. This week was weird, because there was, the Tuesday was a day off, because it was holiday, it was Remembrance Day. And then Friday was bananas, and yesterday was all errands until I dropped. So, like, I have no sense of time at the moment. So I do have to do some more gesture drawings today, because I'm doing that with somebody, and I'm a touch behind them at the moment, so I have to get caught up. So that's just newsprint and mess. I've sort of paused on the portrait track because I'm doing this figure drawing track, but that's okay. And then I will use, I got this graphite stick I mentioned. I'll use this for some of the sketches because it comes off really, that's a 6B one, and it's beautiful. I love it. And then for the second week of Orla's sketchbook challenge thing, I did, these are just on mixed media paper that's, I've got to try and flatten again. But it was shape plus color. So I did a couple of these, and I can't not do texture, like play with texture when I use oil pastels, because that's like half the fun. So I did, whoa, I can't, sorry, I'm having my usual coordination difficulties. It's a good time. And then I did two at the same time, which I often like doing just to like reduce the pressure of getting it quote unquote right. Like, there's no right, it's a sketchbook challenge. I'm just doodling with some of the colors. I specifically used colors I don't usually do as well, so I wasn't sure if I'd like them all together, but you know, it's growing on me. I'm playing around, and I don't like waste, so I wanted to use up some of the things I don't usually do, and for this to be able to focus more on shape and form, it would just, you know, rather than trying to make it look realistic, it was kind of easier to use colors that aren't, like this was a prairie landscape during a thunderstorm. There's a picture of it somewhere, and it's just not, whoops, remotely these colors. It is in fact these colors. So quite different, but that was fun. And that's that for this week, I think. So I will wrap it up for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.